like omitting those, accepting, except that we have to iterate all other things like that, I think.
Yeah, any better answer, Sabha?
Yes, sir. Exception is an unwanted and unexpected event, sir. Exceptions are two types: time exceptions and a checked exception.
Okay,
And
brilliant.
unchecked exception.
Yeah. So as Sabha said, exceptions are like some unwanted events. Unwanted events means actually anything that related to let's take your personal example itself. You want to do something, okay, but because of something actually you can't do anything. Let's say actually you want to follow a strict timetable or strict diet plan. uh, let's say that okay, you are following a strict diet plan. You can't you are only taking certain type of food, like as in the breakfast you are taking like mostly like a leaves, salad and leaves. In the lunch you are taking just the protein, some protein, and in the dinner you are taking or you want to do like intermittent fasting or what, you are skipping the dinner. That is your daily diet plan. Suppose you are going for a marriage, uh, there what will you do? Even though you are in a strict diet plan, you will take that as a uh, you will keep that your diet plan aside and you will follow whatever there is the marriage routine, right? You will eat a lot over there, like you will eat all sweets and everything. I mean, generally I'm telling it. So you in, that is a exceptional criteria. You whenever you say that, why are you eating today means, yeah, this is exceptional criteria. I need to eat today. At least I need to eat today because I'm enjoying in the marriage, right? So similar to that, what is that? Okay, let's go back. And what is that exceptional criteria? There is you want to follow your diet plan, strict diet plan, all 30 days in a month. Okay, but a event came in. Because of that event, actually, you are not following. That day, you are not following your diet plan. That is your exception criteria, right? So in programming also, uh, it's just like your personal life. In programming also, sometimes it may not execute the way it has to be. So you need to plan for exceptions. So those are actually, as Sabha said, there are two types of exceptions. One is exceptions, which is
Runtime
called like a checked
exception.
exception. Yeah, and another is the runtime exceptions. We'll learn about them today. Again, uh, so what are those unwanted events, right? It can be anything. For example, actually, uh, you are uh, in this employee only, right? You are trying to sort based on the salary. Okay, maybe for some of the employees, salary is zero. Okay, uh, when your salary is zero, okay, this portion is also a zero value, right? No matter what actually you do, whatever it is, it's zero. And here this value gives like infinity. Zero divided by uh, zero is again anything, not exactly. Okay, anything divided by zero gives you like a infinity value. You want to avoid that one, right? So these are the things actually where you generally in programming you will get it. So you need to prepare for this one. So let's go back to our PPT. So what are exceptions? Our exceptions are already there here. Okay, it's not there here. Let's take it. So exceptions are broadly categorized into two types. Exceptions For all exceptions, the first class is the throwable. Throwable is the superclass of all exceptions. And then it comes exception. No, exceptions error both are not same. That's what actually we are covering now. We also have error here. Exceptions again classified into checked exceptions and runtime exceptions. The hierarchy follows same way. It's not extended actually as such. It's not required. So this is the hierarchy of exception and various places. So first actually we'll know about throwable. So as I mentioned, throwable is the superclass of all exceptions. Throwable is a superclass of all exceptions in Java language. Okay, it has two exceptions, two direct known subclasses, exception and error. Error is actually where hierarchy also you can see it. Error is actually where you have some scenario where you cannot recover it. So in that cases, you will throw as an error. The event in some cases actually you can recover. In some cases you cannot recover it. So error method you will use it where some unrecoverable event comes up. So those are actually assertion error that we will use maybe in the JUnits or anyway. Virtual machine error. Okay, this is something like a virtual. Your JVM is crashed. Okay, IO error. Your input output actually is something happened to your disk, etc. So various things actually will use it I mean, we can also create our own custom error by extending the error type. But we have like out of memory error. If something actually your thread, your memory increases with the processing than assigned size, then you will get out of memory error. So in that case, actually, this is unrecoverable event. So it will throw that one, and it when errors happens, mostly your system will terminate. So it's something like, okay, you have your own Windows operating system, right? So all of a sudden, actually, it will reboot it. When something happens, actually, when too much processing, too much heat happened, or anything happened, it will reboot it. Why actually it will reboot it? Because that is a irrecoverable event. Something happened. Okay, something actually like sometimes you will get blue screen, sometimes you will get different type of things actually where it will cause your system to all of a sudden shut down, right? But those are called like errors. Now come back to exceptions. Sometimes actually it will give you warning. Okay, like a update is going on. You want to log off all do you want to log off all applications, etc., like that. It will give you a warning actually where you can take the decision. You can think that those are kind of exceptions. In layman words for you, error is unrecoverable event. If it happens, it dies. That's it. Okay. Next one is exception. Exception is where it will give you an opportunity to check it whether you can recover it, or it will ask you for certain decisions what you can do it. Okay. Now let's go back and see like what is exception. This is one error, and next one is exception. So exceptions, as I said, like these are direct subclasses of throwable, and also uh, uh, these are actually where it will give you an opportunity to correct, or it will give you an opportunity uh, to take another decision. Okay, these are exceptions. Again, exception is two types. One is runtime exceptions and exceptions. These runtime exceptions also we call it another synonym uh, for okay, unchecked exceptions. Unchecked, these are checked. These are unchecked and these are checked exceptions. So likewise, actually we'll have different two types of exceptions. One is except runtime exception. Runtime exceptions are nothing but where they extends the exceptions. So again, it is similar to error, but not an error. Runtime exception happens. Okay, when runtime exceptions happens, uh, the user is it's not asking user decision. It takes its own decision what it needs to be done. Okay, when as exception, it gives you an opportunity to ask user like what you can do it. Let's learn about them actually little quickly within Java itself. Okay, I did a small program here. You might not know what you might notice actually what is this one. I am doing a date format. So what I want actually, I wanted a date object here. My constructor is date, a date object. Okay. To convert into date, actually, I'm passing a string and I'm converting into date. While I am converting into date, actually, it is asking me to throw exception. So, for example, let's look into this simple date format API itself. So the simple date format is also it's one of the util class. What it does is, if you pass a string, it will convert into date. If you pass a date, you can also convert into a string. So followed by, there are many things actually what it denotes, like G denotes era, AD you can give that many things here, but mostly we'll use Y, this Y, because this represents year. Okay. M, this also will use minutes, it's uppercase M. Seconds we will use it, milliseconds we will use it, yeah, month we will use it. So how we can use it is, if you pause, all you need to represent, if you do this format, right, this gives you this output. So based on that day, like today's date, right, if you give this one, it will give you today's date is YYY is 2022. Okay, month is, because it's month, again look it here, they put dot. Okay, it will give you 08. Here date is 22, and the rest of things like time and all, actually it will give you like what time it is. Likewise, actually it will give you your date, how you want to print it, how you want to convert the date, or how you want to have the date. So simple thing is, let's look it here. Let me create a new package. Just while I'm explaining exception, I will also explain date formats. So here, what I will do, I will create, I want to convert today date. First, actually, let me show how today date is. In order to get today date, right, simply, you have actually collections, sorry, util date class, date equals to new date. So this will give you today's date. But it gives you not in a usable format. It gives like a all the data. Monday, so it gives like a week, month, year. All these things actually it will give it. It's not quite easy, or it's not. Sometimes actually you may need to put in specific format, right? You can't put this date in maybe application or anything, right? You can't actually put this date in many ways. So you want string. You want a string format of date. Okay, convert date to something like, okay, your usable notation of the date, YYMMDD. That's your argument. You are converting here. So in order to convert, right, what you will do, as I mentioned, like you will use simple date format. First, actually, you will need to use simple date format. You need to set it like a what the format you need it, the format as an argument. So you want YYMMD, and then you can parse it, return, okay, date format, the format. So here you are passing the data object. It okay, now look at this one. After converting, like how the data is. I'll create the object first. Or let's make everything static. So this date, whatever today's date, I'm passing it and I'm converting it. Let's see like what it will print. See here it is. It is printing. Yeah, it's not minutes. It's yeah. Yeah. So it's printing the date format, right? In normal way, actually, how you write it. Suppose you want to convert that into a you want to convert that into a more like a 4-year letters and 3 like a AUG, something like this. So let's see what it will do. Okay, see here. So likewise, actually year, Y denotes year, M denotes month, D denotes date. Similarly, HH, MM, SS also. So you want convert them to 2 1, and also you want print date time as well, like what time it's coming. HH, MI, MM, SS. This give you this gives you both date and time format. See, it's 7:02, 30 seconds. Likewise, actually, you can convert, you can use this simple date format to convert to your required format. Also, you can read the data. You don't like all, it's actually converting one way, right? Date to next day, date to a format. But sometimes it's not easy. I mean, okay. Sometimes it may require for you actually to read the date from string to a date. That's also you can use it, a simple date format. But instead of format method, you will use parse. That gives you the data that need to be converted. So let's say I have date str equals to, I have like today date is 2022 08/22. Now I want to convert this into date object. How can I convert it? It may not, as in the previous example, actually I took employee's date of birth, right, as a date. So here this date, I want to convert that into date object. So we will use simple date format. Look at here now. So it is throwing the date format method is actually throwing this format the parse method is throwing parse exception. So what it, let's look into here the Java documentation first, and then we'll go there. It's storing only one. Okay, so this date format, right? It is throwing a parse exception. If you look this one, they clearly mentioned that in the method definition itself, like this method throws parse exception if the beginning of the specified string cannot be parsed. That means you are, let's say, for now, actually ignore this one. Let's say you are passing date in this format. Okay, agree. What if actually you are passing something, a garbage string, which it cannot handle it, right? So in that case, what it is telling that, okay, I'm expecting in this format, please check your format, whether it is right or not. That's why actually it want to notify the programmer that, are you sure actually you are passing the right format? Otherwise, I'm going to throw this parse exception. Okay, it's showing that the it is letting programmer to know to cross verify actually whether uh, they are passing in the right format of data or handle it properly, or you choose alternative uh, path. Like if something happens, if your date is not in the right format, then okay, go and implement the alternative way. So for now, actually, what we will do, we'll return it as is, and here I will handle throws parse exception. So what I am doing here, I am, instead of handling this error, the event, I'm passing it. I'm passing to my caller. My caller is whoever calls this one. I'm not handling it. So the throws is again propagated back to the caller. Okay, now here, let's say here I want to handle that exception, right? So in order to handle some events, what we will need to do, we need to use try catch blocks. We need to use try and catch. Try is where you will write the more suspectable code. If some exception is coming, right, that's where actually we'll use this try. And catch is what you need to do it. If some exception happens, what you want to do it, how you want to recover from that. That's where actually we'll use it. So all exceptions go by try and catch blocks. So try is something. In the try block, you will write suspectable or X. So exception. Okay. In the catch block, okay, you will write how you will catch. Again, catch. You need to create a exception. What exception you are catching? Okay. Yeah. Suspectable code that handles and here. So this exception, whatever the exception actually it throws, it can handle that exception. Okay. Now actually let's say that parse exception PE, the object name. My try catch is system.out.println. I want to convert this to date, right? So I'm using this convert to date string date. Date string. Now here actually I can put it some like for time being actually let's say just I am printing stack trace. Give me just print like how the exception happened. Stack trace will print all method callbacks. Okay. First what method call, second method what call, and error message. Prints. Let's look into that one also. So first actually let me run it. Whether it is converting into data or not, we'll see it. I'm passing the right data, so it will convert into the right. Yeah. So it's here it is giving me. If you notice, actually, it's not giving me any time because I didn't pass any time. It's converted into date. It's Monday, August 20. August 22 is my year, and time is 0. So what if actually by mistake I didn't give this dash symbol, whereas in my parser here actually I specified YYMMDD, but I didn't give, but some mistake happened. I didn't give this one. So what happens? It throws a exception. How I got this data is because I'm printing stack trace. This is what. So the stack trace is, see here how it happens. As I explained in the collection, stack is stack and queues, right? Stack is something where it works as a FIFO, first come, first out. Okay. So here the most recentable call is on the this class DateFormat.parse. It is trying to parse it in this line of code. This is Java code, Java API code. Okay. The second is where our program called it. And third is where this one. So in a hierarchy, first actually it is trying to execute this one, and this called this method, and this called this one. Likewise, actually the stack trace we call it, as mentioned like stack, right? It puts all the method calls into a stack. A called B, B called C, etc. Okay, so this is how it throws the exception. Now here we can take like a alternative mechanism. For example, this date. Now I'll write another method. Let's say if something exception happens, go on implement. So here also I'm passing two instead of, okay, I'm passing creating a overloaded method. Okay. Instead of creating a hard-coded value, what I'm doing here, I'm passing the format also as an argument. Same thing. This also throws. You can add this one through the method IDE itself as a this one. As a to the method signature from the IDE itself, like this. Now, if exception happens, let's say while I'm parsing this one, if some exception happens, what I want to do is I want to I'm thinking like, okay, the next possible value of parsing is it's YYY MM DD and parse that to a date format. Let's see actually what it does. I will comment out this one, but still actually this is also throwing another exception. So it is asking like whether you need to handle it or throw it back to the caller. Let's try actually handling also. Let's try one more time. We'll handle it. Within the catch block, again, we are handling the same exceptions. Okay. Now here I will handle PE dot I will just print stack trace. Let's see what happens now. Okay, I got my date in this case, but slightly a different format. Why? Yeah, I got the right date now. YYMMDD, I'm passing this one. So what you need to learn here is exception, the suspectable code goes here, and the most exceptions actually you can catch with the catch block and appropriate exception type. The exception type can be exceptions are again broadly one second. The appropriate exception type, right? In this case, actually, it's going into parse exception. That's why actually we are using parse exception. We are catching it. And you can write in the catch block anything. When you write in the catch block, that doesn't mean that actually it's exception safe code. Exceptions can still occur in the catch block. Again, you may need to handle try catch blocks. So these try and catch are just like a executable, just like a if conditions. Okay. Here, if any exception occurs, it will go here. Let's say now you have system.out.println. I am after converting. Now, how many of you can think that this method, this line will be printed? Hello. How many of you can think or can expect the output whether this line will be printed or not? Hello. Okay. Are you guys listening? My question is, okay, can you guess if this line can print or not? Hello. It's just a yes or no statement. Can you check if this line can we see this line printed or not?
No, sir, it's not printed.
Yeah. Why rest of others? What rest of others are doing? Please talk. I'm keep on repeating this one. I can't repeat any more than this one. Okay, you are right. This line, we can't see this line printed. Let's see here. It won't print that line at all. Why? Because the exception, right? When something happened here, it is going to the catch block. So what I'm saying, it's the try catch blocker kind of if statements, but not if statements. In case of if else statement, your if or else is implemented. So similarly, in case of try catch, first actually it will go to try till the time whenever actually the exception occurs. When the exception occurs, it stops execution the try block there itself, and it immediately comes to catch block. So let's say actually we have 10 lines even after this one. So these two lines we cannot see it, but this line we can see it. See, I'm in before exception. Till the time exception occurs, all the lines, it will follow the execution. But when the exception occurs, it goes to the directly catch block. Again, the catch block also works as a block only. If any exception occurs in the catch block, it will terminate the flow there itself. Okay. Now there is one more thing called like a finally. This block is executed no matter what actually, if try is completed or catch is completed. No matter what, the catch block will be executed. Before going there, like let's see. Before going there, let's see actually if my these two statements are executed. So I am giving the right data now. Let's try. Because I'm giving the right data, there is no exception happen. I'm seeing these two are printed. And now there is one more block, as I said, right? Finally, here, no matter what actually, if exception happen or not happen, it will just print this values. It will just execute this finally block. See, in this case, actually, there is no exception happen, right? We can see that the try block is successfully completed. But you notice there is no exception actually. I mean, let's say. Okay, let's try now. This line is not printed because it didn't come to exception at all. Okay, I mean before exception. Okay, converted to the date. I'm converting. But if you notice actually this one, even though there is no exception happen, the finally block is executed. That's what it is. So here, let's go. There is one more concept. Finally, this is executed. This will be executed always, no matter what. So the try block is what actually most suspectable code. Try block will execute till the time whenever an exception happens. Next, it comes to catch. When exception happens, catch block will be executed. Okay, and finally block executed no matter what. If the exception happen or not happen, it will be executed. Why it is there actually we'll come to know in coming classes, like a what is the role of finally block. So now let's say again I'm going back and I'm catching the I'm creating another code with exception. So in this case, these two lines are not printed as expected, right? Before exception, it went to exception block and it still tried another way. Yes, it worked out. It took like a path 2. It worked out and still it is printing the finally block. So that's what anatomy of try catch block. So try, catch, finally. These three things are very important. Why? When it will execute or what? Again, in try block, only the statement till exception occurs is executed. Catch block, when is conditional, when exception occurs, then only catch block is executed. Finally block, no matter what, irrespective of try and catch, the finally block is executed. Okay, now we'll learn about what is exception. This is anatomy of try catch, right? Now we'll learn about exception. I gave like a high level idea. What is checked exception now? Checked exception is nothing but where the designer or developer of the programmer warning you that it will throw some exceptions. Please handle them. That's what actually checked checked exceptions are. By default, all exceptions are checked exceptions. If they don't warn it, right? So what I want to do it in my previous example, in my previous example, I am throwing that as a runtime exception, wrapping to a runtime exception. And I'm not actually doing anything here. The method signature still remains same thing. Method signature actually does not have any exception declaration, but I am actually throwing runtime exception. This is the beauty of runtime exceptions. So runtime exceptions silently fail, whereas checked exceptions or exceptions actually gives you a warning that you need to handle them. Runtime exceptions actually silently execute. They won't give you a warning. If they fail, they fail. It's a design decision like when to go for the runtime exception, when to go for the exceptions. It, where we are, yeah. So it's a design decision when to go with the runtime exception, when to go with the checked exception. Sometimes actually handling, you can catch both of the exceptions no matter what. But runtime exceptions, only thing is you no need to catch. Sometimes actually it may need like a why it needs every method declaration, right? Every method declaration to throw the exception, to have this throws clause. Why can't actually somebody handles that one? Okay, so it's simple thing. Like I can take it out. Okay, instead I can wrap it to a, if any exception comes, if any exceptions comes, I will wrap it to a runtime exception. So what I'm doing here, try, okay. If exception comes, wrap it to a runtime exception and do it. So in this case also, if you do that, right, you don't need to handle in all the calling places because there is no exception is happening. There is no exception need to be handled. So you don't need to implement the try catch block. So it works. Yeah. So it printed. So for example, where my date is still actually a bad date. Actually, I got it. My format is this one, and still it may throw exception, right? So in that case, see, it throw the exception. It still throw the exception, but it throw from the main method. From this only, it directly throw the main method handle that exception. It comes as a runtime exception. The original issue is this one, but actually what it throwed is runtime exception. It wrapped. Wrap means actually like as I mentioned, like candies wrapping into a wrapper, right? So we are putting the original exception into a runtime exception pouch and throwing it so that actually we don't need to handle it. This is what exactly happened. Now going back to exception families. Throwable is all the superclass of superclass of all exceptions. Okay. Next we have error. Errors are something like where you can create your own custom error or a system errors. One of the example is out of memory error. More frequently will feature. One of example is out of memory error. Okay. Again, next one is exception. Exceptions are like a warnings to your program that exception certain cases can fail it. So you need to handle them using the try catch block. Try, catch, finally. This is the anatomy of try catch blocks. Try is what actually where your suspectable code will be executed until the time exception handles all try block statements will be executed. Whenever there is an exception happen, it jumps onto catch block and catch block will be executed. And finally block is executed immediately after try catch. If no catch is there, if there is no exception, then try finally is executed. Okay, any questions on this one? Try catch and at least the high level of exceptions. What is exception? What is runtime exception? What is error? Hello. Any questions so far? Okay, so we'll do a small application in order to deep dive into this. In order to deep dive into this exception handling, so you will understand more in detail. So what I'm trying to do here is I am going to create a student. I will take all the students, okay, and I will see actually I will keep applying them for a job. Okay, if they are not selected, I will also have the track of all selections. My exception handling lies if how many there are list students and there are jobs. So students keep on applying for jobs. If job is not suitable for them, it will throw an exception. Okay. If something actually fails in the job, it will throw as an runtime error. We'll see that at high level today. I will use draw.io to demonstrate